market.
Alex, could you repeat yours again? I'm sorry, I didn't hit the record button fast enough.
No worries. My name is Alex, A-L-E-X. Last name is Liu, L-U, and I'm the president of Restaurant Equipment Markets.
All right, and then Chris, you.
Sure. My name is Chris Bishop, C-H-R-I-S B-I-S-H-O-P, and I am a NetScore sales executive.
Okay. Barry, the floor is yours, and unless you have any questions, Alex, we'll just go ahead and jump in.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's roll.
So I'd like to introduce Alex Liu. He's the president of Restaurant Equipment Market, and we're all excited to hear more about you and your company, Alex.
Awesome. So essentially, our company is a retail wholesaler in the restaurant equipment industry. We have a 20,000 square foot shop where restaurant owners would come in and purchase all of the equipment and supplies that they need. We've been in business since 1992, and we continue to serve the local restaurateurs around us and across the nation.
That's fantastic. So today what we're talking about, as discussed, is POS and delivery management solutions. And we'd like to ask Chris, what do you see as some of the big challenges facing organizations who sell and deliver equipment from the wide array of customers you've worked with?
Thanks for the question, Barry. That's definitely an interesting one that I think can be broken down into two different categories. So from a delivery standpoint, the groups of organizations that I work with that are actually managing their own delivery are also managing the logistics of the product, but also the distribution of the product as well. So some challenges that we're seeing in that space are being able to alert your customers in a timely fashion as to where their order is, expected delivery times, or delivery windows even. Another big challenge that I'm seeing in the delivery industry is the proof of delivery process. And it's pretty manual with some folks that I'm working with. You really wouldn't believe how many folks are still managing that through signing a piece of paper and trying to attach it to the right transaction in their system. Now, from an in-store POS experience, being able to quickly quote products, get real-time inventory visibility, and seamlessly book a sale is very, very critical. So those are some of the common challenges that I'm seeing nowadays.
Okay. So Alex, you've been a NetScore customer for how long?
For essentially 10 months.
Oh, fantastic. So the challenges that Chris spoke with, did they resonate with you? Did you run across some of those issues on yourself?
Definitely, especially with delivery. We were just using Google Word to manage our deliveries. And it was very much similar to how Chris described of attaching a proof of delivery to our particular transactions so that we could keep it on file. But with the delivery software, it really streamlined all of that.
So as far as the integration of the solution, was that a big deal? Because you also have counter service at your stores and some ways to order online as well. That tying those together, was that something that was important to you, or?
Yeah, when we were looking at POS solutions and delivery solutions, we were looking for something that would natively integrate with NetSuite ERP. And a lot of the solutions out there were either just overpriced or oversimplified, or didn't contain all the features that we were looking for. And even more so, a lot of the solutions out there, they don't natively integrate with NetSuite ERP. So you have to find a third-party connector and work through them, work through the actual software. There could be so many issues that arise from that type of connection. But with NetScore, it was all a native integration. We don't have to manually double key in a delivery that needs to be made. With the POS, it's just all real-time transaction data from POS to NetSuite. We don't have to wait a couple of seconds if we need to make a return. We're able to return it in NetSuite just as the POS transaction is finished. It's really a wonderful solution, and we're really happy.
Well, once you made that decision to extend NetSuite with the NetScore solutions, what were the really unique things that you all ran across that were very unique to your business that you needed to implement?
So when we were looking at POS solutions, and I've looked at maybe, I think, 7 different POS solutions, and NetScore definitely encompassed a lot of the unique features that we were looking for. Some of those include essentially, we sell really heavy machinery, refrigerators, and customers need to pick up in the back of our store. So customers would go to our register to check out and say, I want to buy this refrigerator. And what NetScore does really well is you're able to tick off which item is being picked up later at the back of the store, so that it doesn't completely finish out the transaction right then and there at the POS, but you can still print a picking ticket for your warehouse folks to pull it and prepare it for the customer. That's one really unique feature that I didn't see any other POS solution out there capable of doing. Some of the other really neat features that NetScore ERP allows you to do is it integrates really well with NetSuite in terms of using credits and deposits on transactions. With other POS solutions, I don't think they have an integration where you're able to pull the credits on a customer account, the deposits on a customer account to apply it to a checkout. So that was also a big item for me. And there's 6 more other features. Some of them other POS solutions did have. For example, just using multiple payment methods. That was certainly something that's very important for our system. And let me see, I'm definitely missing a couple.
What about in the area of delivery?
Oh, right. So for delivery, we juggled between using Google Word document to manage our delivery fleet, but we also used another software solution that wasn't natively integrated with NetSuite ERP. And what we had to do was we had to give the sales transaction to a certain employee of ours for them to manually input the sales order number, the product, the delivery address, the customer phone number and name, and then set a delivery date, which was a very manual process, and we had to have a dedicated person to handle that for us. But with NetScore's delivery software, it removes the need for a double entry of all of those details on the sales transaction. And all you have to do is say, okay, this sales transaction, I want to deliver it next Tuesday. And all I have to do is assign it to next Tuesday. In addition, NetScore delivery also optimizes the route automatically. So if you have 3 deliveries that day, all going to separate directions, NetScore will automatically calculate the most efficient route that the driver would take. And whereas before we had to do that manually. Something else that's really neat that I really like about NetScore is it not only does delivery for your sales transactions, but say if you have a sales transaction with a purchase order attached to it, you need to pick up that item from the vendor first before delivering it to the customer. And that's a very neat solution that other softwares don't actually have the capability of doing. They're able to separate that pickup from a vendor as almost a separate delivery that you need to make first prior to the sales transaction that you need to deliver. It's the same thing with transfer orders if you have multiple store locations as well. So if you just mix up transfer orders, sales orders that have a purchase order attached to it and normal sales orders, it's kind of like you throw it all into a pot, and NetScore delivery system is able to organize it, sort it, and then tell you the most optimal way to run that. So we really enjoyed it.
So it sounds like you have your own delivery trucks and fleet.
Yes, we have 2 of our own delivery trucks.
Oh, great. So you said you were able to pick up from a vendor location before you actually would go to the customer. Do you ever have to go to multiple locations, and does it manage that as well?
Yeah, most certainly. No matter how many transactions that you would put into, let's just say, this metaphorical pot, NetScore ERP is able to optimize, let's say, 10 different routes that you have to take to spit out the most efficient route where it categorizes it. This is the first thing you have to deliver. This is the second item you have to deliver. The third one you have to pick up somewhere, and then you would deliver maybe at the fifth one first, and then you would deliver what you just picked up at the vendor perhaps last on your delivery route. So it optimizes it, it organizes it, and it just handles multiple deliveries.
That's fantastic. Hey, Chris, I wanted to ask you, from a best practices in the market standpoint, what would you say are the top must-have features that would make organizations, make a decision for POS or delivery solutions?
That's a great question, Barry. And I think the common theme or the main challenge that is really important to be addressed is making sure that these solutions natively integrate well with your ERP. I think if you're managing these two systems separately, POS and the ERP, it can require a lot of manual data input, data reconciliation, or just managing multiple systems. So some of the key features or must-have features that I've seen from a POS standpoint is being able to ensure that it's integrated with your ERP. From a delivery standpoint, again, that digitized POS, being able to capture on a phone or a tablet a signature from your delivery driver, from your customer, and having it attached to the correct transaction in the system automatically without any manual intervention. It's very important. On the delivery side as well, again, customer communication is very, very critical, and making sure that you're able to provide your customer updates at every step of the way with expected delivery times, delivery windows. And then another cool feature or piece about our delivery software is that the importance of loading the truck. Certain industries that might be working with heavier equipment or heavier machinery, if you load the truck incorrectly and put the first stop on the back of the truck, that can result in a lot of reorganizing or a lot of time lost throughout the day. So simple features like that are really able to drive a lot of efficiency within the space that we're working in.
Okay, Alex, I know you gave us an idea not only of the challenges that you faced, but also how the solution helped with those. But were there any additional ones, like say dashboards or visibility into your business as a whole that you got through the solution that you didn't have before?
Yeah, so with NetSuite ERP, there wasn't really many other solutions out there like SCIS. And with these other solutions, you're not able to completely see all of the transaction data that the POS system is able to generate. So for example, we're able to see the number of POS transactions that we have compared with the number of sales transactions that we just have inside of NetSuite that maybe our inside sales folks would key in. We're able to see the variety of different categories of products that we're able to sell, the number of, I guess, transactions per line item, average customer spend. Because NetScore POS is able to just process customer transactions very fluidly, we're able to pull reports based on those store activity.
Oh, that's awesome. I also noted on your site that you had you deal with, and you've mentioned you deal with more heavy equipment and more complicated equipment. You also deal with some supplies such as hotel pans and janitorial supplies and things like that. And I saw they have the ability to order those online to do a self-service type of experience. Can you speak a little on that?
Yeah, so, or actually, what do you mean by self-service?
Well, I mean, the ability to go in and find those items on their own and browse them and then put them in a cart and execute a transaction.
Oh, gotcha. Is this a part where I talk about NetScore e-commerce as well?
Well, I mean, well, it's all part of the buying experience, right? So it's, I mean, if we don't want to, what are your thoughts, Rich? You want to leave this one alone, or?
Yeah, you can talk about the WooCommerce connector that I think that you guys got set up, and you can go down that path, Alex, if you don't mind. I'd love to hear about it if you'll talk about it.
Okay. Sorry for that little break. Okay. So yeah, correct. Our customers are able to serve themselves by just going to our website and placing online orders with us. And NetScore also has this very neat e-commerce integration with WooCommerce, where all of the typical things that you would expect to be integrated would be your prices, your inventory per store, item images, literally any single NetSuite field, even custom ones that you want to create. NetScore, I guess, e-commerce has the ability to customize that solution for you. So for us, we essentially have as many fields integrated with our WooCommerce platform as possible. And we also customize our WooCommerce platform to have stock showing at multiple different branch locations. All of this data is easily passed through from our NetSuite ERP to our online website. So whenever our customers buy online, we're able to pull that order straight from our WooCommerce into NetSuite for our internal folks to process. There's no need to change the price once in our ERP software and then change it online. It's all very integrated and it saves so much time for us. We're extremely happy.
That's fantastic. As far as the implementation is concerned, now that you've gone through it, I know when you first look at a solution, it's you have thoughts about, I hope it comes out this way, so to speak. Can you speak to the, once it was in, the wow moments or how it might have transformed your business?
For me, the wow moments were how, I guess, amazing the development team or implementation team have been to work with. All of the requests that I would make pertaining to our business, either specifically or in a general sense, they would always try to make it work. They weren't like some other software systems where they say, oh, well, this is a standard best-in-class solution that's for everybody. They would actually listen to what our problems were, try to think about the best way to build that out, and then actually do it for us. Whereas for others, I think they would just flat out say, oh, no, you shouldn't do that because you should do this. It might be better for your business, when in fact, they're just trying to say that because they don't want to do the extra work. So that was the wow moment for me. I just couldn't believe the level of resources and energy they put to customize our solution.
That's fantastic. Hey, Chris, I'd like to ask you for POS and delivery services. What are your thoughts, kind of dovetailing on what Alex just said? What are your thoughts on the importance of customizing the solution to the needs of that organization?
I think in line with what Alex just mentioned, customization is really very important. It's not always true that organizations fit into a certain mold. We understand that we can categorize businesses based on distribution or manufacturing, but we also realize that there are specific processes in each individual business that make it unique. And it's very important that a software solution or a software provider that you're working with has the ability to not only recommend leading practices based on what they're seeing in the industry, but also be able to have the flexibility to know when customization is going to be required. And again, with that customization, what you're enabling yourself to do is capture the right data that you need and to be able to generate that into accurate, timely reports to make informed decisions about your business.
Great. Alex, I know you said that it was good working with the NetScore folks and they accommodated your need for customizations, et cetera. Can you give us a feel for any of those that were very unique that you just don't see that they helped you on as far as customization?
Sure. Well, when we first hopped onto the POS solution, I think it was rather new at the time. For example, Vend POS, it's just a very simple checkout software. You scan items, it rings you out, almost for just like a restaurant POS. And initially, NetScore POS started down that path, but then because of the complexity of our business and some of our needs, I started introducing them to a feature I mentioned earlier. You pay at the POS, but then you pick up later in the back of the store. So that would be a very unique solution that they didn't have before. But once we requested it, they not only built it for us, but I think they just built it as a standard solution across their platform. So that's one example of a custom feature that they have built for us.
So does that ever end up being a multi-step process where, say, if it's a larger, if it's a restaurant chain that has a couple of locations, that they basically say, well, we're going to pick up these items, but we'd like you to deliver these items to this store and this store, anything along those lines? Or
Oh, actually, yes. Now that you mention it, I think the POS system that NetScore has built is extremely robust. At some point in time, I almost feel that it's almost a like an in-store POS that could replace NetSuite ERP a little bit on the order entry side, at least, because you can give an iPad to your either your sales clerks or sales folks, and they can just put in orders, putting a customer ship to address. They can even take deposits for sales orders that already exist inside of NetSuite. You can set different items as different ship to addresses, almost like you would key in a sales order inside of NetSuite. You can select different UOMs as well. You could, I guess, set the salesperson for that POS transaction. It's the features are so robust. I could talk a lot more if I went into it, but it almost feels like it could be instead of purchasing more NetSuite user licenses, we could simply purchase more POS licenses for our internal folks.
okay, it's great to hear that it's supporting your business so well. As far as the customizations and the whole implementation process, et cetera, I know this is as you said, it's a very complex solution offering. Did you find that the implementation process was on a timely basis, or did it go a little longer than you'd like? Or did it come in earlier than you thought it would? What are your thoughts on that?
So for us, the POS implementation process took a lot longer than we anticipated because of all of the custom features that we have requested. And we essentially had 10 features that we were looking at that would be custom work. A bulk of it is now part of the standard POS package, but as far as our implementation process, I believe it essentially took the span of a couple of months because they were building out these custom features. Now for others, because we were sort of the trailblazers for some of these custom features, I think it should be a lot sooner. But for us, it did last a lot longer.
Okay. Chris, I was gonna ask you real quick what your thoughts were, once again, from more of a high level, view from a POS and delivery services standpoint. What should be expected from an ROI or return on investment standpoint?
That's a really good question as well, Barry, and it's important to understand where you're measuring success with these types of projects. I think one thing that's really critical in my experience working with these types of solutions is user understanding, acceptance, and adoption. When you're working in tandem with your team and when you're all bought into the idea of a new system coming in to drive efficiency, it can have a lot of downstream effects. From a POS standpoint, being able to decrease the counter time experience, so quickly processing a sale, quickly converting a quote to a sale, and capturing payment at the time of sale is very important. From a delivery standpoint, some of the benefits that we've seen customers experience are more along the side of being able to establish delivery zones and then service more customers as a result of formalizing that process. And then even cutting down on logistics expenses by route optimizing, understanding what is the most efficient path from A to B, cutting down on driver time, and also logistics expenses overall. So those are some of the benefits that we've seen, or that I've seen in my industry experience, kind of working with these solutions.
So Alex, from your standpoint, as a successful business owner and having your own special set of criteria and things you were looking for, what did you experience as far as ROI that you've realized?
I think with NetScore ERP, within just the first couple of months, we definitely realized our ROI. With a lot of the other, I guess, competitors out there, they were either too simple solution that might be very inexpensive and you could realize your ROI, but you would be limiting a lot of your business functions, or you are paying way too much for a limited set of features and it would take a lot longer to realize your ROI. But with NetScore POS, they are very competitively priced and also contain all of the features that one would hope and wish to have in their POS. I think it took only a few months for us to really feel that, yes, this was definitely a worthy investment for us.
So as far as quantifying that, Dave, you looked at all at, has it helped you increase your revenue, maybe using less people to accomplish that? Or there are ways that you've quantified that at all?
So the ways that, I guess, good question. Let me think about that. If we were measuring our ROI, I would say that it took less time to train new people on how to use our POS software. And as well, it took less time for us to operate a POS solution compared to if we were just to use NetScore or another party solution.
What about as far as since the selling part, quoting and booking an order and all that is tightly integrated to the inventory as well as the delivery, having that all in it, has that saved you a lot of time not having to jump between systems? And what, and can you expound on that at all?
Oh, sure. With the different applications, software applications that we were using from NetScore, essentially, I think we were able to replace 2 or 3 people having to manually input and manually transact a lot of our business operations into just either one person or no person at all. Before, we had to have one person dedicated to manually inputting delivery routes to our customer, but now we actually consolidated that role into one person who is also multitasking for our other business areas. So it eliminated the need for having just different roles dedicated to maintaining a business operation. We could just let the system run the automations and we don't have to worry about that part anymore. On the POS side, in the past, we always had to manually input a deposit or payment record into NetSuite ERP. But with the POS, you could simply use the POS to put a deposit on a sales order that is existing inside of NetSuite. And I can't tell you, that saved enormous amounts of time. We don't have to manually put in deposits anymore. It automatically happens at the POS register. I would say that probably saves us at least 4 hours a day of someone's having to input that data and maybe potentially causing human error and messing up that data. So not only saved us time, but it also saved us costly mistakes that might have happened due to human error as well.
That's fantastic. All right, so stepping back a little bit and just looking at the whole process of evaluating a solution and then, you know, implementing it, getting it customized, getting it going with your, do you have any lessons learned that you could pass on to the audience as a gotchas that they need to look for, or you know, things that will make them successful?
I would say having a good internal team to work with the implementation team is very important, because what people don't realize, I think, is the implementation team is focused so much on you. They'll send you an email maybe at this hour. Although you might be working on something else at the moment, I think you should try to respond to them as soon as possible so that they could get things going for you in the background, because it's not, as soon as you reply to email, they're able to fix something. As soon as you reply to them, they're going to start working on it as well. And I think if we went in more with that proactive mentality, we would have done even better than we already have.
Great. So Rich, do you have anything that we might have missed that you'd like to ask Alex, or, you know, anything along those lines?
You know, I do. I always have extra questions.
I know you do. Yeah.
So, So Alex, I'm really curious if you shared a bunch of different features that you liked, and there was a number of different things that you highlighted. But if you were to encapsulate, what were your top 3 benefits that you realized from the POS? What would they be?
Top 3 benefits and not specific features.
No. I'd like to just look at benefits where you saw value received around the POS system.
Value received. How do I sum up something totally amazing in just a few words? I think the 3 biggest things for the net score, the competitiveness of the cost, the all-around features that this POS software has against the competition, and the how easy it is to work with the implementation team, not only on fixing our issues in a very prompt manner, but carrying out all of the requests that we had sent to them. Those 3 things are the biggest, I guess, selling points or takeaways that we felt like we got from NetScore POS.
What about the delivery routing solution? The top benefits for it?
For the delivery routing system, we think that essentially the 2 biggest takeaways were we don't have to manually input all of our information anymore, and it just saved us huge amounts of time in business and in human error that might be costly. And again, how easy and convenient it is to work with the implementation team, and how receptive they are to listen to our ideas and help customize a solution that would work for us.
So once you took the step into automating some of these manual processes, did you discover that there were any competitive advantages that you had for your business versus some of your other competitors? I'm just wondering if you saw improvements in like customer satisfaction because they saw you were running your business better or gave them better service. What would you say?
Oh, definitely. I feel like NetScore isn't that well known in the marketplace, and people don't realize how limited some of the other POS solutions are out there. You have maybe Shopify POS, Lightspeed POS, a lot of which you also need a third-party integrator to integrate with NetSuite ERP. And a lot of people don't like any of these other POS solutions, so they just end up using NetSuite ERP and try to use the cash sales module as a POS in of itself with perhaps some advanced scripting. But all of that is very, very limiting, and it could cause, I guess, expensive human error. But with NetScore POS, what we think made this software solution essentially opened up a whole entire new marketplace for us. We're able to do cash and carry sales at a speed and volume that no competition out there can do, because we are able to handle maybe a 5-card checkout from one customer instead of saying, oh, please hold on, and you have to use a scanner to scan an item into NetSuite, click on the next line item, and then scan an item. We can just scan an item, scan an item, scan an item, and just keep going at a very, very fast pace. So essentially, on the business level, I think it really opened up our cash and carry business operational speed and overall customer satisfaction level with the lesser amount of time that they had to wait on a transaction being finished.
Very good. Very good. I want to capture something that I need at the top of the interview. I'd like to get some sense of your NetSuite experience. So how long have you been a NetSuite customer?
For NetSuite, we've been essentially also 10 months. So we implemented NetSuite the same time that we implemented NetScore POS. Okay.
Was the NetScore system integral to the decision to get NetSuite? Was that all part of the one big decision, or did you decide to get NetSuite and then got NetScore afterwards?
We decided to get NetSuite ERP first because we knew that NetSuite ERP was like a Apple or Android iPhone. You can keep adding apps to it. You can keep customizing it. And we knew that there had to be a POS solution out there that could integrate very well with NetSuite ERP. So for POS, we decided it after the fact, but it is very integral to our business model. So that's why we implemented both at the same exact time.
Very good. Very good. So just a couple little fine points that I'd like to get a little more clarity on. There was some, and on the delivery routing side, I believe you were able to get a calendar view of what deliveries were going on, and you were also able to get more analysis on your drivers in terms of how they were, performing. Could you speak about those a little bit in terms of how NetScore helped those two things?
Sure. So for the delivery routing software, as I mentioned earlier, the implementation team is very open to working with you and customizing a particular solution so that it would work for you. For us, that was having a calendar where we could see on what day is our deliveries happening and how many deliveries are happening that day. It's a visibility for our internal sales folks so that they, when are selling, can tell the customer, we're booked up for shipments this week, but next Tuesday we have open availability if you'd like to book it on that day. So that was able to help our organization immensely in upselling for customers, because sometimes freight and delivery is part of the sale. And as far as tracking the driver, you're not only able to see where the locations are, but like Chris said earlier, you're able to see the proof of delivery, because once the driver makes that delivery or picks something up, they're able to take a picture of it and get the customer to sign it. So it attaches to the sales transaction right away. And based off of NetSuite's just reporting capabilities, we're able to run reports based on the multiple fields that NetScore delivery routing has to pull different types of statistics on how many deliveries our driver made, how many, I guess, orders came back and didn't get delivered, and various other performance reports.
Okay. So one final question. You had made a statement that you were able to, by eliminating the manual processes, eliminating the double entry, not having to chase down errors that had happened, that you were able to move from maybe 3 or 4 employees in a particular process down to 1. Would that be, what percentage of efficiency improvement do you think that is? Do you think that, I mean, just calculating, is that like 50%, 75%? I'm not sure what the number was that you were looking at.
Gotcha. I would say it was at least 75% more efficient than how we were operating our business previously, because of all of the time, error, and mistakes that could happen with all of the manual process. This truly felt like we're letting the system run instead of we're letting, I guess, humans run a certain process.
So the automation was a very important part of this whole thing.
Correct.
I wonder, could you just talk about the automation? I just need that soundbite, if you don't mind.
Sure. What's the exact sentence I should say?
No problem. No problem. So, you were doing these manual processes before, and you took this step with NetScore and NetSuite to really bring in automation into some of your overall process. And it seems like a lot of businesses are making that big leap today. They're looking at their business saying, we want to eliminate these manual processes. We want to take the step forward to more modernize our business. And I guess I am looking for something from you that just talks about this idea of moving from manual and choosing to take the leap, because you have to spend money to do it, but automating ultimately makes your business that much better.
Okay. So investing into NetScore delivery and POS it wasn't even whether this would give us enough ROI or not. It was how much ROI would it give us. You're spending maybe a couple of $1,000s on a software solution, but what you don't realize is you're spending maybe tens of thousands of dollars on a human aspect of the component in your business, whereas it could just completely be automated with a simple technology and software investment, which would also eliminate all of your human error that could potentially happen. It's something, as a business owner, you take a breath of fresh air, because you don't have to worry about whether this person is trained up and detailed enough to key some orders incorrectly, and if they're trained enough to optimize the route more efficiently, you can have a peace of mind because you know that the software is not going to make any mistakes in processing this transaction for you. And this automation, essentially, it's you're letting the system run a lot of things instead of rely on humans to do that.
Perfect. That's all I wanted. Perfect.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
So Alex, obviously you see it as a competitive advantage, or you wouldn't own your own trucks from a delivery standpoint. Is there anything that the delivery solution has done to even streamline that process more so and make it even more of a competitive differentiator for you?
Let's see. Obviously, it provides us all of the insight and knowledge we need to see about our deliveries and our drivers. It eliminates the manual processes. I guess I'm not, could you maybe clarify?
I just don't know if you find that you're more efficient. So maybe you're able to get product to a restaurant owner quicker than you were able to otherwise. And that might help you out versus a competitor who it might take longer for them to get that to them or something like that.
Gotcha. In terms of our business operations, how it streamlined our delivery network is for our all the way down to our frontline, I guess, teammates who are our sales folks. For them talking to a customer, they're able to get visibility all the way on the back end of our business and tell them right away, then and there, yes, we can make the delivery next Tuesday, and this is a time frame that we could do it. You're probably going to be somewhere in the afternoon because we have 3 deliveries in the morning. All of that information we're able to provide to our sales folks on the front line right away, and they don't have to say, oh, you want delivery? Well, wait, let me call somebody, let me email somebody to get that information, and I'll get back to you on the cost, on whether or not we can do this. We're able to not only provide that information to our sales folks, who can provide it to our end users, and we can make a faster decision on whether a sales transaction can happen then and there. So that's the visibility is a huge component.
The final thing I'd ask is when you're making your decisions, have you considered expanding to additional stores or to additional states? And was scalability the solution an important consideration?
Scalability is definitely one of the main components of why we chose the software solution. What I saw was not the software for as it is, but for how it could support our business once we expanded to multiple locations across the territory or region. And as we kept on scaling our business, I could see this software solution not being overwhelmed by the volume transactions or volume deliveries we might have. Once you set up the proper processes and procedures in place, it doesn't matter if you're assigning 1 delivery next Tuesday or if you're assigning 20 deliveries next Tuesday. It could all be done with the same process, 2 clicks of a button to assign a particular driver to that set of shipments. So we saw the software as something that not only fits us right now, but could fit for us later on when we're a much bigger organization as well.
Okay, I promise, just one more. Okay,
No
just
problem.
one more. All right. You know, you have expectations of what you're going to get from anything you buy, right? But hopefully you have things that were unexpected that, wow, I never realized that was something that, you know, was going to help me out. Is there something that was unexpected once you implemented it that said, wow, that's great that we have that?
So on the POS side, it was, for us, it was actually the unit of measurement. So no other POS software out there can lets you select the UOM for a particular product. So for us, we sell forks, and we sell maybe 1 fork, a dozen forks, or a case of forks. For other softwares and for NetSuite even themselves, they limit you by a singular UOM that you're able to sell. Let's say it's eaches. And that would be attached to a particular barcode. But for the POS side, I was pleasantly surprised because you could sell this fork by each and attach that each with a unique barcode. or you could sell it by a dozen and attach that dozen by a unique barcode. And then for our cashier folks, when they are scanning that each, what pops up on the screen is each. When you scan that dozen, what pops up on the screen is a dozen. For the competition out there, you could only have that, you could only have one barcode. So if you're scanning a fork for each, it'll pop up each. If you scan it for a dozen, it'll still only pop up each, and you have to scan it 12 times. And if that happens, what if the cashier is not trained enough? They'll scan that dozen only once, and you're essentially giving away 11 free forks. So that was also a huge pleasant surprise that I realized that Score POS could help us do and save us a ton of money and possibly giving away a lot of products due to shrinkage. On the delivery side, I simply wanted a calendar that could give our team visibility into all of the back-end logistics that was happening, so they could provide that information to our customers right away. What I was pleasantly surprised on was how NetScore Delivery also optimized the routes, not only for sales orders, but for sales orders that had purchase orders attached to it. So in the past, when we had to deliver a product to a customer, we only told our driver, okay, you have to manually tell the driver you need to go pick up here before you deliver this product. So they would pick up everything that they needed and then deliver the product at the end when it was time. But with NetScore Delivery, you don't have to pick up everything at a time. It's kind of like they maximize how we use our truck space, because they say, okay, you can pick up this, deliver it, then pick up 2 more, deliver somebody else's, and then deliver these last 2 items. And like Chris said, sometimes when you are putting products, the first delivery all the way into the back of the truck, that could waste a ton of time. So it also automated that part for us as well, where we don't have to rely on a human being smart to think about how to put things in our truck, but they could just rely on the software and trust that this software is not going to make any mistakes. So that was also a pleasantly surprising feature that I wasn't expecting, but we benefited a lot from. I was just looking for visibility, but it gave me so much more.
Fantastic. Well, that's all I have, guys, and unless Rich or Chris, you have something.
Nope, I'm done. I promised that was on my last question, and I'm a man of my word.
So I broke. So what you're saying is I'm not. Thanks for that, Rich. I appreciate that. Throw me under the bus. That's okay.
Yeah,
Alex, thank you.
The channel thing, so hopefully I wasn't over talkative or too specific on things.
No, more is always better, and one of these things, and editing will allow us to kind of make it more concise. So what we'll do is we're going to pull this together. We're probably going to adjust some of our lead-in questions to make them a little bit more concise as well. And once we put it all together, we'll share it with you. If there's something that you need us to change, we can make an adjustment, but we'll try to get it to you before we send it over to NetSuite.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was appropriate to mention competitors' names. Was that appropriate or no?
It would probably not have been appropriate for Chris to do it or for Barry to do it, but you are a customer, so you can do whatever you want.
Gosh, I really wanted to trash this one POS solution.
I saw the wheels turning, I think, when you were mentioning it. Some other software solutions.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
We probably don't want to trash the competition, but there's really nothing wrong with you making reference as a customer.
Okay. I actually have a list. If you saw my screen getting brighter, it's because I was pulling up the list. I have 1, 2, 3, 9 other softwares that I compare this to. So SCIS, Sweet Retail was the one that I really didn't like. They were just overpriced, limited features. Yeah, all around not good. Really wanted to mention them, but I wasn't sure if it was appropriate or not.
Well, if you want to make a statement about, that you had 9 that you were looking at, and, if you want to make a statement about that, maybe just don't mention their name, but you can, make reference to the problem that you had, because I think that's relevant to other people in your position that would be making decisions.
Do you want me to do a quick soundbite for that, or?
Yeah, go right ahead, jump right into it. We're still recording.
Okay. So I was looking at 9 different POS solutions ranging from Lightspeed, Shopify, Vend, Sweet Retail, SCIS, and a few others. out of everybody whose features might have been too simplified or whose features were simplified to a little bit more advanced, but were way too expensive, NetScore not only came back with all the features that we liked and required, but they came at a very, very competitive price against the competition as well. So that's what ultimately led us to choose NetScore as a provider of software.
Excellent.
Okay, cool.
So
Well, Alex, I'm here in the metro area as well. It's such a pleasure to have met you, and I'm sure we'll be talking in the future.
Yeah, did Scott say you're basically, so you're not actually working with NetScore like directly, but you're a consultant for them?
Yeah, but I'm working with them. I'm pretty much full-time working with them. So
Okay.
you know, I'm not employed directly by NetScore, but I'm working pretty much full-time with them. So that's
Okay.
I might as well be working directly for them. You know what I mean? Just not
Yeah.
getting the benefits, but
Okay. Because Scott said that I could talk to you about some of the, because we still have some features, custom features that we're still in the implementation phase actually
right.
with the POS. And he mentioned that I might be able to voice some of the customizations of what we're trying to do over to you so that you could help me or help us oversee some of that, or is that
Sure.
kind of not the realm?
No, that'd be great. I'm more than happy to help. So my I think I don't know if I'll put it in the chat or what to do. Well, I have your Chris, we scheduled that meeting last week that had to be canceled. So I'm pretty certain I have your contact information. So I'll just send over mine, and yeah, let me know any of the things that you're looking for. Have those already been voiced to Venkat or Manoj or any of the folks?
I mean, basically this was in the original contract at the beginning of the year this year. But you know, the software is, they put it on the Suite Marketplace in August of last year. So there's a lot of things they're working on. They're trying to make one feature function really well before we're going to the next.
Sure.
If it's okay, I'd like to invite you to our store to show you kind of like our operations so that you could.
Oh, I'd love to do that.
Yeah. So if we can.
I'd love to do that. You're down on Peachtree, aren't you?
Yeah, we're right next to Stone Summit, the big rock climbing facility.
Okay. Yeah, I'm up in Milton, so we'd have to try to make it so that from a traffic standpoint, I'd be coming down the Alpharetta Autobahn. So you know, we'd have, from a traffic standpoint, we'd have to work that one out. But no, I'd love to visit your location, see what you're doing.
Okay, I mean, we're open on Saturdays too. If
Yeah.
you don't want traffic, you could just swing by and show you around.
That's fantastic. All right, well, we'll work that out. I'll send you a note, and we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, looking forward to it.
All right, me too.
well, great meeting you today.
Thanks for
Thank you for the time.
yeah, thanks for making the time, Alex. We really appreciate it. This definitely will go a long way. And like Barry mentioned, obviously, if there's anything that I can do to help as a member of the NetScore organization, just feel free to reach out and let me know. I'm more than happy to try to coordinate any of our resources if need be.
Okay, maybe you could send me your contact info in an email later, but it was cool meeting you guys.
I'll shoot it over right.
Okay, hopefully I didn't make it too difficult on the editing team, but nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care.
Thanks, Alex. Have a good rest of your day.
Okay,
Likewise.
appreciate it. All right, see ya.